We are the Guinea Pig Collective. All will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
We are hanging out with Stripe, all the horror icon pig on the spinny table of doom. Look at that, best hair in YouTube, but the best hair in YouTube doesn't stay the bestly brushed for very long, does it, Stripe? All right, let's see what Stripe has for us today.
Yes, it is I, Stripe, here with a semi-horror related figure. It's not exactly horror related, but it is close enough for me to take part in this one, and we have the Gunslinger Spawn figure. Had this one in the back for a very long time, and I guess it was time to dust this one off and get this out of the box. And finally, take a look at this one. Here we go with our Spawn in a static pose. Hit the lights. There we go, so we can get a better look at this Spawn. Plenty of detailing in there. Usually McFarlane does a halfway decent job with detailing, but they usually mess up on coloring quite a bit. I will say right out of the box, this one doesn't look half bad, but I don't like the way the boots look. The boots look more like spats than actually boots, and there he goes. He does come with a little base. Here he goes with double guns in hand, and you can really see how those boots look like spats. There's not much rock in the feet either, so this one doesn't pose extremely well, but you can get some halfway decent poses. Reaching for his guns right there. The cloak is non-movable, so the cloak actually will get in the way of posing this figure, and it will tip it over a little bit. His feet are not very sturdy, especially without those rocks. But let's get into that articulation. The kick up, almost non-existent. This is horrible. It's that McFarlane diaper. It does not allow this to move, especially with the way that they did the detailing on the pants. It just doesn't move at all. He does have a double jointed knee, and that can kick back quite far, but once again with that cloak, the cloak gets in the way. It's like overly hard rubber, and it's not that it's that hard rubber, but it's not pliant enough to be able to move it out of the way to get this thing in any kind of position. So there's the turn at the feet, and once again, there is like no rock really whatsoever. He does have a little bit of a bend at the tip of the toe as well. But without that rock, it really does limit what you can do with this figure. Now we're going to move on to the waist. He does have a double cut at the waist, so he's got a standard twist at the bottom end, and he's got a small diaphragm in the middle where the chest is. You can get a little bit of back movement on it and not so much crunching forward. I just don't understand how McFarlane misses this shit, especially for as long as they've been in the toy biz. The head gets a fair amount of movement as well, but once again, because of the cloak and those big giant things, you got to kind of push them out of the way in order to try to get that head movement. You move the cloak out of the way completely, and you get a lot more head tilt. If they just made it out of a softer rubber to get out of the way of the joints, this thing would have been much better. He does have a double jointed elbow. Once again, fair amount of movement in that. It does go back quite far. And he has the turn right there at the bicep. The hands turn as well. And they have a very, very small amount of pivot on them. Not very much at all. This is really lacking. There's no butterfly joints in this guy either. With somebody who's going to have guns, he should. So here we go in another pose. And you can see the one gun is pointed the wrong way. Why? Because he doesn't hold either gun very well. They do not sit in the hand very securely. They're very loose. Both of them are like that. Like if I tap on this one, it just wants to fall right out of his hand. He does not hold this thing at all. Even though his finger is right there to go on the trigger, it is not secure. And here we go with a close-up looking at the detail of the figure. The detail looks pretty decent. Other than the spats at the bottom of the boots, but he's got little pouches there with knives and everything. He's got the spurs on and everything. It's not bad looking, but there's definitely some loss in those spat looking things. They're just supposed to be boots according to the picture, but instead he's got spats on. I don't know what they were thinking with that. The cloak should have been a softer material, but here we go. Let's take a look at the detailing on the gun. The gun looks pretty good. He's even got a little skull. Looked like it was carved right into the handle of the gun on both sides. So that's nice detailing work for that. Both guns are exactly the same. And his last piece is the Gatling gun, which it's all warped up. The handle is all warped up. The barrels of that Gatling gun are all warped up. It's pushed up. It just terrible the way they did this. And this one is not a light piece either. It feels like a pretty solid piece. It's just the way that they package these things. They packaged it in a way that just bent it all the hell up. So there he goes. He's got a little skull underneath of it as well. Nice detailing, but they ruined it by packing it poorly. Typical McFarlane. Nice Tord. And here he goes with his Gatling gun in hand, showing it off. You can get both hands over there just barely to make them hold on to it, but it's got to be from a side pose. There's no way you can cross that arm over to get it straight forward. We'll put him in a few different poses right here, side to side, so you can see it from different angles. It's not bad looking. It looks good, but once again, typical McFarlane, missing the finer details of things, and he is a pain in the ass to keep standing up because of those feet and the inability for those things to have any rock to properly seat him on the ground. Just an absolute pain. This is typical Tord stuff and why we usually don't buy McFarlane. And now we are into final wrap up on this figure. While a lot of the detailing on this figure looks really good, there are some huge key takeaways on this one. Number one, they showed in his picture that he had a lever action gun, did not come included. The Gatling gun was warped. The spat look to his boots is pretty terrible, and a lot of the lack of articulation, especially in the way of pivot and not having any kind of butterfly joints on somebody who has guns, is just unforgivable. Overall, this one is good if you could pick it up on the cheap, but not for full price. The best that we can give this one is a 7 out of 10. Do better, Tord. Do better. It's a wonder you're losing the license to DC. Even if you could afford it, I'm sure they would rather go with somebody else. And there's that lever action again that they refuse to include. Till next time, later, y'all.